Okay, this is homework paper 5, the higher tier. We're going to be going through the answers to the multiple choice questions, followed by the longer questions towards the end. So, question 1, the coordinates of the midpoint of the line joining P and Q. So, easiest way to find the midpoint is to add our x coordinates and half them, and then add our y coordinates and half them. So, 3 add 5 is 8, half of that is 4. Then 4 add 8 is 12, half of that is 6. So we're looking for 4, 6, which is D. Question 2. Pens cost 10 pence each. Pencils cost 12 pence each. What's an expression for the total cost in pence of X pens and Y pencils? So if X is the number of pens you're buying and they're 10 pence each, you do the number of pens, X, times 10. And then you do the number of pencils, which is Y, times 12, because pencils are 12 pence each. Okay, so it's going to be 10x and 12y. So 10x plus 12y is E. Question 3, 72 written as a product of its prime factors. Okay, so if I've got 72, I can split it into 8 and 9. However, they are not prime. 8 is 4 and 2. The 2 is prime, the 4 is not. So 2 and 2, those are prime. The 9 I can also split up into 3 and 3, and they are both prime as well. So 2, 2, 2, 3, and 3. Product means multiply because we have to times these together. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3, which is E. Don't forget, if this was another question, they may want it in index form, which means it would be 2 cubed times by 3 squared. Okay, but in this case, they didn't need that. Question 4, 0.64 divided by 0.2. Okay, lots of different ways that you could do that. All right, one way you could do that, if I multiply both of these by 10, I get 6.4 divided by 2. If I work this out, it'll actually give me the exact same answer as working this one out. Okay, and I could do it again, I could do 64 divided by 20. But either way, this one I can do fairly easily because I'm just halving 6.4. Half of 6 is 3. Half of the 0.4 is 0.2, so it's 3.2, which is A. Then question 5, nth term of a sequence is 3n plus 5. What is the sixth term? If we want the sixth term, then n must be worth 6. 3 times 6 is 18. Add 5 is 23. The answer is D. Question 6. Okay. So we want to know the size of this whole angle here. Well, this tells me, these lines tell me that this is an isosceles, and this is an isosceles as well, and the information here also supports that. I know that triangles always add up to 180 degrees. If I take off 50 from that, I get 130, and because this is isosceles, these two angles here must be the same. So 130 divided by 2 is 65 degrees, so that one there is 65, as is that one there. Then if I do the same for this one here, again it's going to be 180 in total. 180 take off 30 is going to be 150. These two are then going to be the same, so half of that is 75 degrees. So that means my final answer is going to be the full turn of 360, take away 65, and take away another 75 as well. So you should get an answer of 220 degrees, which is B. Question 7, which is the smallest fraction? Easiest way to compare fractions is to have them with a common denominator. Okay, so all of these, well, the largest denominator I have is 24. And I need to think, can I easily change my other ones into 24 as well? Yes, I can, because they're all factors of 24. So I want all of them over 24. So this one I times by 3, so it's going to be 18 over 24. This one I times by 8, 16 over 24. This one I can times by 4, so it's 20 over 24. And this one I can times by 12, so it's 12 over 24. Now they've all got the same denominator, I can see which is smallest and which is biggest. So the smallest one there is going to be, I've got 18, 16, 20, 17, or 12. 12 is the smallest, so my answer is E. Question 8. To two significant figures. My first significant figure is the figure that holds the most value, which is this one here. It's the 2, because it's actually worth 20,000. So my second one is the 3, because that's worth 3,000. And then because I want two significant figures, I draw my little line after my second significant figure. I look at the next digit. Is it 5 or more? Yes, it is. It's an 8. So the 3 before my line will have to round up to a 4. So I know it starts with a 2 and a 4. However, my answer can't be 24. This is 23,860.868. I am rounding this, so my answer needs to be close to that. I can't just pretend it's now 24, because I know that 2 was in the 10,000s. The 4 is in the thousands column, so I need to add the zeros onto the end still. So my answer is A. Question 9. The first 5 terms of an arithmetic sequence are given. I want the expression for the nth term. It's going up in 4s. My other sequence that goes up in 4s is the 4 times table. So 4n, because it's 4 times by n. The 4 times table is 4, 8, 12, and so on. I want 3, 7, 11. So going from this sequence to this one, each of those terms I'm taking away 1. So my rule will be 4n minus 1, which is D. Question 10. Expand the brackets. So 3 times 2x is 6x, 3 times y is 3y. There is a minus 1 sneakily on the outside here. It's a negative, so be careful. So it's going to be minus a single x, and then add 2y, because a minus times a minus is a plus. So I've then got 6x, helpful. Take away an x leaves me with 5 x's. And then I've got 3y, positive 3y, add another 2y, gives me a positive 5y in total, which is A. Question 11. Length of a line is 7 centimeters to the nearest centimeter. The greatest length the line could be, okay, well I know my cutoff point is going to be, for 7 and 8, is going to be 7.5. That would be the upper bound. However, okay, be careful. I want to know the actual greatest length. Okay, so for this one we need to think, is it continuous data or is it discrete? Okay, so does it only take certain values? This is continuous data. It's a measurement, which means technically it could be 7.49 recurring. All right, but because we don't tend to use that, we use our upper bound instead, which is going to be 7.5. That's going to be our maximum length. Try and make that a little clearer. Question 12. Speed of a plane is 400 kilometers per hour. How far does it go in 2 hours and 30 minutes? Well, that is 2.5 hours. And I know this is 480 for every hour. Okay, so 480 in the first hour, 480 in the second hour, and then a half hour, he'll go half as far, which is going to be 240. So I want to add those together, which is going to be 1,200 kilometers. 13, expand the brackets. X times x is x squared. 3 times x is 3x. 5 times x is 5x. 3 times 5 is 15. Don't forget to simplify in the middle. So I've got x squared plus 8x plus 15 on the end. So my answer is D. And question 14, midpoint of the line, just like question 1. Okay, add your x coordinates, add your y coordinates, and then these are technically your z coordinates. Okay, add them and then half them. Minus 3 add 5 is 2, half of that is 1. 2 add 1 is 3, half of that is 1.5. 4 add 8 is 12, half of that is 6. So I'm looking for 1, 1.5, 6, which is A. Question 15 then. I want to know the area of the shape. Okay, lots of different ways we could do this. You could split it across here and have a rectangle and a trapezium. You could split it down here and have a rectangle and a trapezium. You could have a rectangle, then a triangle. Or you can find the area of the whole thing as if it were a full rectangle and then take away the missing triangle. I'm going to do it that way because I find it quicker. So the whole rectangle will be 8 by 6, which is 48 centimeters squared. This missing length here, all of this was 6, up to here was 4, so that must be 2. All of this is 8, up to here is 4, so this must be 4. 4 times 2 is 8, half it, don't forget, because it's a triangle, gives me 4 centimeters squared. So the whole thing was 48, take off the extra 4 that I don't want anymore, is 44 centimeters squared. The next one, standard form, it's got to be a number between 1 and 10 to begin with. My important digits are the 6, the 4 and the 3. So that number's got to start with 6.43, same digits, same order, but a number between 1 and 10. It's going to then be times 10, and then it will be a negative power because it's making my number smaller. And all of my digits, my decimal point in my starting number was here, it's now here. Okay, so my digits have moved 3 times, so it's the power of minus 3. So my answer is E. Then, one of the factors of 6x squared minus 9xy is one of these. It's going to be a single bracket because I don't have an x squared, a number, and a number of x's as well. Okay, it's also not a difference of 2 squares. So factor of 6 and 9, highest one is 3. I can also take out an x from both parts, and that's the only thing I can take out of both parts. So whatever's left, let's go in the brackets. So 6 divided by 3 is going to be 2. I've got one x here, but I need another one in there. So negative 9, so I need a negative 3 to make that a negative 9. I've got the x, but I also need that y in there as well. So my factors are 3x and 2x minus 3y. So I'm looking for the 2x minus 3y in that list, which is A. Question 18. So we're looking at bearings now. Remember, bearings, 3 digits, clockwise from north. So I want the bearing of y from x. So I'm stood here. I always start by facing north. And I want to turn clockwise until I'm facing towards y. So this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this angle here. Okay. Well, the nice thing about bearings is because you always measure from north, that means you've got a pair of parallel lines, your 2 north lines. So if I look at this angle in here and the 70 degrees here, these are co-interior angles because they're both inside my 2 parallel lines and they're on the same side of my transversal, that diagonal that cuts through them both. Co-interior angles add up to 180 degrees. So if this is 70, this must be 110. I then know in a full turn is 360 degrees. So I'm going to have to do 360, take off the 110 that I don't want here, and take off the extra 40, which is this part here, and that will leave me with whatever is left. So 360, take off 110 is 250, take off 40 is 210 degrees, which is E. Number 9, factorize completely. So again, it's going to be a single bracket. I can tell that by the answers as well. Look at what's in common in both parts. Remember, 6x to the power of 4 is 6, 1, 2, 3, 4 x's all times together. And 6x squared is 6, and then 2 x's times together. So I want to take out everything I can from both parts. Well, I can take a 6 out of both parts. Lovely. So that's like a 1 and a 1 there. And there are 4 x's and 2 x's here. So I can take 2 x's out, which remember is x squared. So 2 of them have gone there, and those 2 have gone there as well, which leaves me with 1 still. Okay, there is now nothing else in common in both parts, so what's left goes in the brackets. So I've got one lot of x squared here, and on the end I've just got plus 1, like so. So my answer is going to be C. No, it's not. It's D, because that's got pesky 6 in there. It's D. Okay. Question 20, expand the brackets again. 2x times 3x is 6x squared. 2x times 2y is going to be plus 4xy. Minus, be careful, minus 3y times 3x is minus 9xy. And minus 3y times positive 2y is going to be minus 6y squared. This part I can simplify because they've got the same terms. So 4xy, take away 9xy, leaves me with minus 5xy. So I've got 6x squared minus 5xy minus 6y squared, which is B. Question 21, multiplying with mixed numbers, turn them into improper fractions first, it makes things easier. So 5 and 1/4 is going to be 21 over 4, because you've got 5 lots of 4, 5 wholes, plus an extra 1. Times that by 2 and 1/7, well 7 times 2 is 14, add 1 is 15, so there are 15 sevenths in there. At this point you can simplify, and it might make it easier to do so you don't have to do awkward multiplying. So here I can divide 21 and 7 by 7. So that's the same as a 3 on the top there and a 1 on the bottom there. Okay, I can't simplify with these two, so I'm just going to have to leave them as they are. Multiplying fractions times the tops times the bottoms. 3 times 15 is 45. 4 times 1 is 4. Put it back into a mixed number because the question was a mixed number. 45 divided by 4, well there's 11 4s in 44, 1 remainder over 4, so it's 11 and 1/4, which is E. Question 22, we're looking for factors. Okay, so for these ones, we want to be factorizing. All right, so my coefficient of x squared is greater than 1. So when I'm looking for those two numbers, I want two numbers that times to give me something and add to give me something. Okay, those two numbers are going to times to give me two lots of minus 4, so minus 8. And the same two numbers will add to give me minus 7. Okay, so I think about my factors of 8, which have a difference of 7 between them. So it's going to be 1 and 8. But one of them needs to be negative because they multiply to give a negative. So it's going to be minus 8 and positive 1, because minus 8 add on 1 gives me minus 7. So now I'm going to rewrite my original expression, but splitting my minus 7x into these instead. So I've got 2x squared minus 8x plus, I'm going to put a sneaky 1 in here. You don't need to, but I like having the numbers there to remind me, plus 1x minus 4 on the end. Now I'm going to factorize it in parts. I'm just going to look at the first two terms. I'm going to factorize that bit first. So it's going to be 2 and an x, open the bracket, is an x and a minus 4. Okay, and then I'm going to do the second two terms together as well. There's nothing in common here other than 1. I can divide them both by 1. So I'm going to put plus 1 and then x minus 4. I know I've done it correctly because my two bracketed parts are identical. So once I've done that, my final answer will be 2x plus 1, so the parts outside the brackets, and then all of that multiplied by the x minus 4, the repeated bracket. So I'm looking for which is a factor of it, well, either 2x plus 1 or x minus 4. 2x plus 1 is on that list, x minus 4 isn't, so my answer must be A that they're looking for. Question 23. Okay, so for question 23, we need to think about the areas of parallelograms. That will really help us. Okay, for the area of a parallelogram, it's exactly the same as the area of a rectangle, but we need to have those perpendicular lengths to multiply together. Okay, so on this one here, I have the base is 9, its perpendicular height, okay, is 8 centimeters. So if I times those together, 9 times 8 is 72 centimeters squared. That is the area of my parallelogram. Okay, now I could do the same thing by tilting it slightly and imagining this 12 centimeters was the base, and then I'd have to multiply that by the mystery perpendicular, which is what I'm looking for here, and again it would give me the same area. So that means I need to do 12 times by my mystery length, let's call it x, must give me the same area of 72 centimeters squared. So 72, divide that by 12, my mystery length x must be 6 centimeters, which is A. Question 24. Base of a cuboid OCDR. I want to work out the area of the face ABCD. So, where was A? So A is sneakily up here, which is really helpful. Okay. B, C, D. It's this bit here. So this face of my cuboid, all the way across here. All right. So if I want to know the area of a rectangle, I need to know this length and this length. Okay. Now I can use my coordinates that they gave me to help me work it out. Because remember, my X tells me how far across it is. My Y value tells me how far up. And my Z value, my last one, tells me how far forwards. Okay. So if I know that this is the base here, I can clearly see that the base of my rectangle is 0, 0, 0, and basically it's flat on the 0. Okay. So this height here, if I look at my Y coordinates, because that's the height, my Y goes up to 3. So that's a 0, and that's a 3, so the height is 3. So I'll do a little sketch here. And then this part here, I'll call it the depth. I know that this is at 0 here. And if I come forwards, my Z coordinate tells me this length here, it's 4. So it's 3 by 4, which is 12. Finally, question 25, lots of expansions to do here. So if I expand the double brackets first, my 2x plus 3 times by 2x plus 3. Remember, squaring is times by itself. So it's going to be 4x squared plus 6x plus 6x. And then at the end it'll be plus 9. So if I simplify that, 4x squared plus 12x plus 9. Then if I do the similar idea, but for expanding these two brackets, I'm going to get 2x squared minus a 2x, add a 3x, minus a 3. Okay, which simplifies to 2x squared plus an x minus a 3. Now this is the part where we need to be super careful. I'm doing all of this, take away all of this. So 4x squared, take away 2x squared is 2x squared. 12x, take away an x is going to be 11x. 9, take away minus 3. Take away minus, that's the same as adding. So 9 add 3 is going to give me plus 12. Okay. So now I can look at my answers and see if I've got this anywhere up here. Well, D does not match, so that's wrong. Nor does C, so that's wrong. Nor does B, that's wrong. These two have been factorized. These has not. So if I want to see which one of these gives me this, two ways we could do it. We could just expand these brackets and see which one gives me this answer, but that's not going to help you if it's not multiple choice. Okay, so we're going to practice factorizing this and see which answer we get. So two numbers that times to give me, remember, I've got a coefficient of x squared greater than 1, so I need that to give me 24, and add to give me 11, it's going to be 8 and 3. So write it out again, 2x squared plus 8x plus 3x, we split up the 11x, and then plus 12. Then remember we do it in steps. I'm going to factorize this part first. It's going to have 2x on the outside, then x plus 4. Then I do exactly the same for this part here. Okay, I'm going to have a plus 3 on the outside, and then an x plus 4. My brackets match, so I know I'm getting it right. So my final answer will be the parts on their own in the first bracket, so 2x plus 3, and then the other bracket, the other repeated one, so x plus 4. So now if I look back at my answers that are available to me, my answer is E. Okay, so now we are on to the longer questions towards the back of the paper. It is a calculator paper, so for that first question, use a calculator. Try and get your display to match exactly how it looks on the page. So 3.4 and then squared, take away 2.6 squared, all over 1.6. My display is identical to what's on the page. Press equals, the answer is 3. Okay. Question 2. Write down the size of an angle marked X. It's going to be 50 degrees. Okay, there are different methods you could use for this. You could either say that X and the 130 are co-interior, so add up to 180 degrees. But the method I actually used was that X and 50 degrees are alternate angles. Okay, X equals 50 degrees because alternate angles are equal. You need to give the whole reason, don't just say that alternate angles. Okay, what does that tell you? Okay. Lovely. I don't have a question 3 on here, so I'm assuming you don't have one either. Aren't you lucky? So, question 4. If you do, let me know, okay, or let your teacher at school know, and they'll tell you the answers. All right, but apologies, I do not have those answers with me, and I took this from the box where all of your papers came from, so I'm assuming you don't have them either. Question 4. Area of the cross section is 18 centimeters squared. The length is 5.8 centimeters, and I want to know the volume. Easiest way for a prism: cross-sectional area, which is the face on the front, or the matching face that goes throughout, multiplied by however deep that shape goes back. So 18 times by 5.8 gives me 104.4 centimeters cubed. Question 5a, going to expand the brackets. So I've got 6x plus 9 plus 2x plus 2. Simplify it. I've got 8x, and then I've got a plus 11. Part B, expand the brackets. Y squared plus 4y minus 3y minus 12. Remember, all parts need to be multiplied together. So in total I have y squared. This section can be simplified. I have 4y, take away 3 of them, leaves me just a single y, and then a minus 12 on the end. Be careful with those negatives. Again, I do not have questions 6 and 7. I'm assuming yours is the same. Okay, again, if you do need those answers because you do have them, let your teacher know and they can go through it with you. Question 8. Yes, this is a calculator paper. That does not mean you just type it in a calculator and say, ta-da, that's my proof. That is not proof. Okay, you need to demonstrate it clearly. We always start with our decimal part. We always label it as x. You must do the labeling nice and clearly, or they may not give you the marks. Okay, so I want to turn this into a fraction. Well, I need to have matching parts of my decimals, okay? And I need to have it all in terms of x. So I know a single x is worth this. If I times that by 100, I'm going to write it on top just to make my life easier. If I times that by 100, I end up with 17.1717, and so on. My decimal parts are identical, okay? I can't have it as just 1.717. It's got to be 0.1717. It's got to be exactly the same. If I take those two away from each other, well, 100x, take away an x, leaves me with 99x. And then now, because the decimals are the same, when I subtract these two, they cancel each other out on the decimals. So it's just 17 take away 0, which is just 17. Then I can rearrange that to make it a fraction to get the x on its own. I divide by 99, so it's 17 over 99. That is my proof, because now I've shown that x equaled the decimal that I started with, and x equals 17 over 99. They both equal x, so they must be equal. You must label them both as x. Finally, question 9. To simplify this, I need to factorize, because I need to find common factors, because that's how we simplify a fraction. We take out the common factors. So, 2 lots of the 1, because there's a coefficient of x squared greater than 1. I want 2 numbers that times to give me 2. The same 2 numbers have to add to give me this subpart here, which is 3. So my answer is going to be 2 and 1. So I'm going to rewrite that first line, 2x squared, split the 3x up into the 2 and the 1, so plus 2x, plus, again, I'll put a sneaky 1 in there just to help me work out that there is a number 1 there, and then a plus 1. Factorize it in stages. This is the third time you should have done this on this homework. So out of both of those, I'm going to take a 2 and an x. This leaves me with an x plus 1. And then this one here, I can only take out a plus 1 because it's the only thing in common is a 1. So that leaves me with x plus 1. My brackets match, so I know I'm right. So my final factorized solution there is going to be 2x plus 1, bits outside the brackets, and then x plus 1, the repeated bracket. So that's the top part. The bottom part, I can factorize that as well. Okay, so two numbers that multiply to give me minus 4 and add to give me minus 3. Notice I didn't have to do anything different here because I didn't have a coefficient of x squared greater than 1. So two numbers that multiply to give minus 4 and add to give minus 3 is going to be minus 4 and positive 1. Minus 4 and 1, minus 4 and 1. Okay, so because I don't have the coefficient of x squared greater than 1, these can go straight into my brackets. So at the start of both is an x and an x, because the x times x expanded would give me the x squared. Then I've got the minus 4 in one and the positive 1 in the other. So now I've done that, I can combine these back together again. So on the top of my fraction, I've now got 2x plus 1 and then x plus 1. On the bottom, I've got x minus 4 and x plus 1. So now I can look at which common factors I can divide top and bottom by. Well, they've both got x plus 1 in brackets, so x plus 1 is a factor of the top and the bottom, so I can just cancel them out. These two parts, excuse me, these two parts, there are no other common factors, so my final answer will be 2x plus 1 on the top and the x minus 4 on the bottom. And there's your answer. Okay, so those are the answers for homework paper 5 of the higher tier. If you need any of those other answers that are missing from mine, apologies for that, just let your maths teacher know and they can go through the answers with you. Okay.